Welcome to the video lecture series of software development practices. So in this video lecture, we are going to see an introduction about Git and GitHub. So those two are set as a version control system. So here we will be seeing an insight about both the Git as well as GitHub. So what is meant by a Git? So Git can be set as a version control system. That is, it is a distributed version control system which will be tracking the versions of files. So what are the files which we are creating? The versions of those files will be getting tracked up. So usually in the software development processes, the programmers will be collaborating among themselves and they will be developing the softwares, or they will be creating the codings. Okay, so in those cases, this version control system will be helpful for them. So what is a version control? So we shall see an example. So let us consider that. So we are using WhatsApp. So in the before some days or so few months back, you can see the old version of the WhatsApp, right? So the old version of the WhatsApp logo I have provided on the screen, and the new version of the WhatsApp I have given the screen. Okay, so here the new version has been released recently, and in this case, if something has happened or some bugs have been erased in the new version of the WhatsApp, what the company will be doing is they will be implementing the old version, right? So here what will be happening is the old version of the WhatsApp will be kept safely in some places, right? So from there that will be getting tracked or retracked, and it will be then published to the users. Okay, so the same way only the Git and GitHub will be working, right? So many versions of the softwares will be keeping safely, and if anything happens to the current version, then what we can do is we can track up the earlierly developed version or the oldest version, and we can circulate it to the users or circulate it to the development process. For that only this particular version control system is being widely used. So here we get a question that, so for any product, a creator will be there, right? So here also we have a creator. So the creator of this Git is Linux Benedict Torvalds. So Linux Benedict Torvalds, he is a scientist from, or a software engineer. Okay, so he is a software engineer who is Finnish and an American software engineer, right? So he is one of the lead developer of the Linux kernel. For an operating system to work properly, you will be needing a kernel, right? So that kernel can be said as a brain or the heart of the particular operating system, right? So this Linux Benedict Torvald is the person or the lead developer or the creator of the Linux kernel, right? Apart from this Linux kernel, he also created this distributed version control system set with the Git. Okay, so for what purpose this was created is, it was created for using in the development of the Linux kernel. Okay, so there they have they were implementing the work of Linux kernel development. In that process, to restore or to preserve the older version of the files, they have created this Git software or the Git version control system. Okay, so that is the backstory behind this Git, right? And this Git was launched in the year 2005. So in order to understand the working principle of a Git, we can take a best example, the movie named 24, right? So in the movie, so we will be having a character. So he will be say who is Atreya, and due to some accident he will be in the coma stage, and after relieving from the coma stage, he will be attempting to go to the date or the situation or the duration where he was gone to the state of coma, right? So to that particular year and time he needs to go, right? So for that purpose he needs the help of a machine or a machine travel watch, right? Okay, so that can be taken as an example for this Git, right? So the older version of Atreya, we can take it as a version 1. The current version of Atreya, we can take it as version 2, right? Okay, so some problem has happened to the version 2, right? So now we need the version 1, right? So we need the version, right? So in order to get that, or in order to retrieve that particular version, we need the help of this Git. Okay, so Git will be processing, or Git will be having all the versions of that particular software or that particular file. Okay, so similar to that of the machine travel watch, which was been used in that particular movie. Okay, and now we can see the benefits. Okay, so what are the benefits of using this Git? So to keep the history or the code history, right? So to keep track of the code history and to collaborate with different members in a team. And also here what we can do is we can see the changes. Okay, so what are the frequent changes made to that particular code and who has made that changes. Okay, so because in the software development team, many members will be collaborating among themselves and they will be creating a software, right? So here frequently many changes will be happening to that particular piece of software, right? So that changes, who has made the changes, that can be viewed by using this particular Git. And coming to the point of version control system, we have three different type of version control system. So one is the local version control system, centralized version control system, and distributed version control system, right? So now we shall see one by one. So local control system. So local control system means within your machine. Okay, so within your machine itself, you will be making changes and you will be preserving the files as in a local database or in a folder, right? So for example, v1 is a file which you have created first. Okay, so after some period of time or after some duration of time, you wished to make some changes in that v1. So you renamed the file to v2, right? So v1 is still there. You made a copy of that v1 and you are making changes to that particular file and you are naming it as v2, right? And again for that v2, you need to make some changes or some new feature has to be added to that particular file set to be v2, right? So here what you will be doing, you will be taking a copy of that particular v2 and you will be making the changes and you will be saving it as a new file set to be v3, right? So this will be happening within your system, right? Okay, so within your local machine or within your system or your laptop, you will be performing that operations, right? So here what will be happening is all the versions of the file will be getting saved in your system itself. Okay, so the disadvantage of this is if anything happens to your machine or if anything happens to the database or the folder where you have saved all the file, what will be happening? You will not be able to retrieve that particular files. Okay, right? So that is only the disadvantage of this particular local version control system, right? The best example for this local control version system is your Git. Okay, so Git is an version control system which will be getting operated only in the local machine. Okay, so we won't be sending it to the repository, right? So in order to send to the cloud or in order to make it available in the cloud, you need the help of GitHub. Okay, so the local version control system, the example is nothing but the normal Git which you are using. The second case is the centralized version control system, right? So here a common centralized version control server will be available there. Okay, the operations what you have done in your local machines, that you will be performing in the central version control server, right? Here all the files will be available and the programmers who are working on that files will be making the copies of the file and they will be performing the operations directly in the server. Okay, so directly in the server they will be performing the operations through their system or through their computers, right? Here also if anything happens to the server or anything happens to that particular files, we will not be able to retrieve that particular file. Okay, so the example, the real world example of this centralized version control system is the Apache Subversion software. Okay, so this is widely used in the Apache Foundation for performing their internal operations. And the third category is your distributed version control system, right? So here what will be happening is the server computer will be there, the files or the different versions of files will be getting stored in that particular server machine, and at the same time the same files will be available in the programmer's machine also. Okay, the programmers will be having a copy of the files which are available in the server, and they will be performing the operations to that files in their own machine. Okay, in their own machine they will be performing the operations, and after performing the operation and after doing all the checks, if the file is been perfectly okay and if it is eligible to circulate, then only that files will be getting uploaded to the server computer. Okay, right? So in the figure you can see the pictorial representation of the distributed version control system, right? So here the real world example is the collaboration of Git and GitHub. Okay, so the Git is mainly giving you the version control system in your local machine, and if you need to apply it to the cloud, then you need the help of this GitHub, right? The collaboration will be taking place between the Git and GitHub, right? Git is a local repository and GitHub is a global repository, right? So from the Git you can send the files to the GitHub. Okay, so you can take Anna's computer there, the operations will be carried out in the Git, and the server computer you can take it as a GitHub, right? So the operations whatever you have done in the Anna's computer, that can be uploaded or that can be pushed to the server computer, right? So the server computer will be using the GitHub, like as you can take it as an example, right? So these are the three different types of version control systems which are being existing nowadays. For the first case, local version control system, the example is your Git. For centralized version control system, the example is Apache Subversion, and for the distributed version control system, the example is the collaboration of Git and GitHub. And here in Git and GitHub, you need to know some terminologies. Okay, so here I have mentioned three terminologies. One is snapshot, commit, as well as clone. Snapshot. So we shall see the first thing, snapshot. Snapshot means it is the current content of the test branch or the current content of file which is ready to be committed or which is ready to be saved in the Git. Okay, snapshot is nothing but the file which you are working and which is ready to be saved in the Git. Okay, so the operation or the command which is used to save file in the Git is said to be the commit. Okay, commit is the command which is used to save the file in the Git. Okay, so before that we will be preparing a file, and that particular file which is ready to be saved is said to be the snapshot. Okay, so the next command is commit. Okay, so here this will be only saving the file, or this will be only affecting the local repository, right? So this in the snapshot will be getting saved in the local repository through the command set to be commit. Okay, so normally, so while creating a document, we will be creating a document, right? So we will be typing all the contents there, and finally we will be clicking the save button, right? So once you click the save button, that particular file will be getting stored in your hard disk. Okay, so same way this will be happening, right? In your currently, if you are working in a machine, if you are working or if you are preparing a document or if you are preparing a coding, so coding you will be doing in a file and that will be getting stored in your hard disk. Okay, so that will be stored in your hard disk. That can be set as a snapshot. Okay, so once you save that particular file to the Git, that operation will be set as the commit. Okay, so saving the file to the Git. Okay, so under the Git you will be saving that. That is said to be the commit. And the third terminology is cloning. Cloning is nothing but taking a copy of a repository, right? So that taking a copy of a remote repository to your system. Okay, so that is said to be the cloning, right? So usually cloning will be given the, or the operation of this cloning is copying the global repository to your local machine. Okay, so that is said to be the cloning, right? So these are the terminologies which are being used in the Git and GitHub. Snapshot, that is the current content which is being present in that particular branch. Commit is a local operation, that is saving the file to the Git, and cloning means copying the files or copying the repository, existing repository to a new repository, or moving that particular repository to another location. And here in the Git you will be having 3 stages. So one is said to be the committed stage, second it is a modified stage, and third is a stacked stage. So you can see it one by one. So first we shall see the committed stage. So here you can see the image. So committed means once you are creating a file and once you save it in the Git, that will be said to be the committed stage. Okay, so you are creating a file and you are saving it in your hard disk. That is said to be the that process is said to be snapshot. Okay, so once you save it in the Git, that will be said as commit. Okay, right? So once a file is getting saved in the Git, that particular stage is said to be the committed stage. The second stage is modified, right? So once the file is got saved in the Git, and once you make or once you changes the content of that particular file which is saved in the Git, that particular operation is said to be the modified, or that particular stage is said to be the modified stage. Okay, so committed means saving the file in the Git, and modified stage is making changes to the file which is been committed. Okay, and the third case is your stacked stage. Okay, right? So once you made the modified, and once you save that particular file. Okay, so once you made the modification and once you save the file, that particular file will be moving to the stage set to be staged. Okay, so once you have already a file is there, it is already committed to the Git, and to that file you are making some changes and you are saving that file, right? So that particular stage is said to be the stage state, right? So once after saving that particular file, you need to initiate the commit command. Okay, so once you initiate the commit command, then only the file or the contents which are saved inside the hard disk or the system will be moved to the Git. Okay, so that is said to be the stage. Okay, so in the staged stage, 2 operations will be taking place, right? So modified file will be moved to the staged state, and from the staged state, it will be moved to the committed stage with the help of the commit statement or the commit command. Okay, so these are the 3 stages with respect to a Git. One is committed, modified, and the staged stages. Okay, and next we can see about the Git components. So here we will be having 3 different components. One is your working tree or working directory. The number 2, it is the repository, and number 3 is the index or the staging area or staging. Okay, so repository is nothing but the container where you will be tracking all the changes of your project file. Okay, so repository is the place where you save all the files, right? So while saving itself, you will be entering all the changes. Okay, so during which time the changes has been made, everything will be getting added up in that particular repository. The working tree or the working directory is the file which you are working on, or the folder where you are working with the files. That is said to be the working tree or the working directory. And the index or the staging place, that is the area where the commit operations are prepared, or the commit operations are being prepared, right? So here you can see, so this is the working area. So this particular HTML file we are prepared, right? So we are working on this particular file. Okay, and once you are going to save it, or once you are completed all the operation or all the coding in this particular file, you will be saving it in your hard disk. Okay, so you'll be saving it in your hard disk, right? So here it will be getting moved to the staging area, right? So it will be moving to the staging area that it is going to saved in the Git. Okay, so here it will be moved, right? And from here, by using the commit operation, it will be moved to the repository. Okay, so here the file will be getting saved in the working area. Physically the file will be getting saved, and in the staging area the file will be getting ready and it will be moved, right? So in this index here only in this particular staging area only the file will be getting prepared for doing the commit operations. And a basic workflow of your Git. So first of all, you need to modify the file in the working area, right? So this particular operation, and then stage the changes you want to include in the next commit. Okay, so here we need to make all the changes. Okay, so in the modified stage you need to make all the changes, then commit your changes. That is, after making all the changes you have to save that particular file to the repository, right? That is said to be the commit. Okay, here you can see commit will take the file from the index, that is file from the staging area, and store them as a snapshot in the repository, right? So working directory is the area where the file is been available. Then once the file is been ready, by using the add command it will be moved to the staging area. Okay, and here it will be available, right? So here the file is ready to move to the repository, right? Then by using the commit command it will be moved to the repository. Okay, right? So then from the repository, that is from the local Git, if you need to move the file to the GitHub, you need to use the command set to be push, so that the file which is available in the Git will be moved to the GitHub. Okay, so a copy will be available in the Git as well as a copy will be pushed to the remote GitHub. Okay, and then if you need to make any changes to the file, or if you need to fetch the file from the remote repository, you need to use the command set to be pull. Okay, so that what will be happening, the file from the GitHub will be directly imported to the working directory. Okay, so it will be directly imported to the working directory. Okay, so this is the basic operation of basic workflow of a Git, and 3 sections of a Git project, so which we have seen now, right? So working directory, the place where the file will be getting ready, staging area or the index area. So here what will be happening is, from the working area we will be moving the file by using the add command, so it will be coming to the staging area, and from the staging area we will be moving the file to the Git directory by using the commit command. Okay, so this is the operation. And next, the GitHub. So what is meant by a GitHub? So GitHub is nothing but a cloud-based platform for hosting the Git repositories, right? So in the Git you will be having the repositories and the files, and if we need to send it to the cloud-based platform, you can use this GitHub. Okay, so this is a developer platform. So here it will be allowing the developers to create, store, manage and share their codes. Okay, so the code can be created, code can be shared, as well as code can be stored. Okay, so this here the GitHub alone will not be working. So from your machine to the GitHub, okay, so from your machine if you need to send the files to the GitHub, you will be needing the help of Git also. Okay, and here this particular GitHub is also providing the services such as distributor version control and access control, bug tracking, then software feature request, task management, continuous integrations. Okay, so all these services are provided by your GitHub. Okay, and here this particular GitHub company is headquartered in California, and from 2018 it has been adopted by Microsoft. And so the alternative for your GitHubs are the Bitbucket as your Git bucket, right? So alternative softwares for your GitHub. Okay, so if you are not willing to use the GitHub, you can go for the alternate software set to be GitHub as well as the Bitbucket. So these are the informations or the introduction related to your Git and GitHub. Hope you understood the informations or the introduction of the Git and GitHub. Thank you.